Vibes.
But you knew that. Study Poe. Let's go.
I like the way I'm feeling now. Not gonna use your regrets, but my blues and written now. I like the way I'm feeling now. But you got smart thing with the stress me, but right now I'm chilling now.
Way out my feelings and nothing can stress me. The way I run the game, I'm feeling like referee. No, like Moses parting the Red Sea, like a chauffeur, me in the back of the Bentley. So I step out, all white, can't stain. What you want? Rosé, champagne? I got that. Big bag, back pain. Taking the piss, the only time I can't aim. So we toasted a good life, living every minute to the full, cause I could die. Pull up at the spot, open doors, and it's suicide. Chilling rent free, where the check, please? Couple $100 G's on a good night.
I like the way I'm feeling now. Not gonna use your regrets, but my blues and written now. I like the way I'm feeling now. But you got smart thing with the stress me, but right now I'm chilling now. I like the way I'm feeling now. Not gonna use your regrets, but my blues and written now. No, I like the way I'm feeling now. But you got smart thing with the stress me, but right now I'm chilling now.
Yeah. All I wanna do is jive. 220 on the highway. I'm about the energy. Baby, if it's good, send it my way. If it's bad, keep it private. All these haters so vexed, I'm the best alive. You don't want to test the guy. You been sleeping on yourselves, you test it fly. Throw myself a party, then act surprised. Be the highest in the room when the guests arrive. Yeah, ain't nobody realer. Touchdown, got a couple G's for the dealer. Gang signs out the window, my killer. Life getting sweeter, no use water, dilute my Ribena. So we toast to the good life. Every minute to the full, cause we could die. Pull up open doors and it's suicide. Yeah, 16 bad, whoop, and they all by the poolside.
I like the way I'm feeling now. Not gonna use your regrets, but my blues and written now. I like the way I'm feeling now. But you got smart thing with the stress me, but right now I'm chilling now. I like the way I'm feeling now. Not gonna use your regrets, but my blues and written now. No, I like the way I'm feeling now. But you got smart thing with the stress me, but right now I'm chilling now. Dead boys, enough toys, they make noise, enough choice. The gas left, the sweet boys, the roll up, and the nice toys.
Hello, guys. Hello, can everyone hear me? Welcome to this monthly session of Mentors Meet. Welcome, everybody. Please, if you can hear me, just drop something in the chat box for me, please. Just say hi, I'm here. My name is Shion. My name is Daniel. I'm here. Yes, thank you, Titi. Yes, welcome, everyone. Yes, so we're here for the next Mentors Meet session, which is something that we host every month, right? And last month we had a guest, a very amazing guest, right? And this month we're having an amazing guest also, which is JJ, right? And I mean, I'll just brief you guys on why we are here, why the 20th Tribe is here. So 20th Tribe is a social community, right? Trying to bring people in their 20s together, making sure that they have the right resources and the tools to excel and succeed anywhere in the world. I mean, even if you're in Canada, even if you are in Nigeria, even if you're in Ghana, even if you're in Kenya. I mean, permit me if I didn't mention your name, but anywhere in the world, anywhere, we just want you to succeed. And that's what we are going to do. And that's why we've made this preparation to bring in an amazing guest. So before we jump right into that, if you attended the last Mentors Meet session, can you just drop something in the chat box so that we can know? Just say, yes, I attended last month. That was May 2nd. If you attended the last Mentors Meet session, we have a giveaway for somebody that will just ask a few questions on that. Did anybody attend? Okay. So the question is, you need to tell me 3 things, which is the speaker's name, right? The topic the speaker spoke about, and yes, those 2 things. So if you tell me, we have a giveaway for you straight up. So the first person to respond to that will be willing to have you straight into our community. So does anybody know the last mentor for May? It happened on May 2nd. Is anybody there? Yeah, we have a big giveaway coming for you. And the second question, because we'll be interviewing our guest, his name is JJ Omojuwa. Yes, and so if you know the full name of JJ, just drop it in the chat box. We have another giveaway for you straight up. Can you guys hear me? Hello guys, are you guys there? So we're introducing our speaker shortly. "20 things, this is saying 20 things I wish I knew in my 20s with Lamide Johnson." You're close, but that was for March. Yeah, Odochineye says JJ Omojuwa, yes. So we'll take note of that first response, JJ Joshua. Yes. So I think the giveaway will go to the first person straight up, which is Odochineye. Yeah, so we have something for you. And so you can just reach out to us right after. And yeah, we'll give you a free access to the recording of this session right away. So I'll be introducing the speaker shortly. Yes. So 20 will be showing his biography here. So our amazing speaker, his name is JJ Omojuwa, as someone just said, which is JJ Joshua, is on the board of several companies and organizations, including the Convention of Business Integrity. He founded Nigeria's which was founded by Nigeria Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Kazim Ibrahim Fellowship, Nigeria's foremost fellowship program, funded by the Kaduna State government. And JJ, as you know, JJ is an international speaker. He has addressed different crowds in different places. And yes, he's often leading conversations on the challenges and opportunities in Africa. He has different talks on, in his TED Talk and his podcast, which is the CSS Pod, which is on culture, saints and sinners, a very interesting podcast where he interviews influencers and people that will give us insights into what is happening in society. Yes. So with a big round of applause, can everybody just welcome JJ for us? Just drop in the chat box and welcome him, and he will take the floor now. Welcome, JJ.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Pleasure to be here.
We're so glad to have you here.
Trust me, it's such a pleasure to be here. And the reason being that even though I get the privilege of engaging and delivering speeches to a lot of people in many parts of the world, the one that really connects to me is speaking to young people, because I've had the privilege of being through that. And for one reason or the other, I continue to connect to the realities and the challenges that I faced in my 20s, the kind of questions that were roving through my head, the sacrifices that I had to make, the commitments I had to make, a lot of daydreaming. I'm privileged that a lot of those dreams have come to pass. A number of them I didn't dream at all, but they came to pass. And so this makes conversations like this extremely important for me, because it just feels like I'm helping myself from that past to go faster forward. I think that in life, whilst experience may be the best teacher, it might be better to get the experience of other people when it comes to certain things. I don't want to burn my fingers before I learn that fire burns the finger. I don't want to fall into a pit before I know that there's a pit ahead of me. If somebody else has already been through that, done that, I might as well learn from them. The world is obsessed with learning from successful people, but I think there's a lot we can learn from those that we think have not been successful. At least we learn how not to do it. So this is a very beautiful conversation for me. As much as I'd like to speak and speak and speak, I'd be more interested in hearing questions, because the danger of speaking to many people is that you tend to assume that you know what people want to hear and what they are interested in. So I'd be more interested in getting people's questions and doing my best to answer them. I'm not able to, of course, answer questions perfectly the way they would be. Some people might want them. The reason being that some of my experiences may be universal, but most of my experiences are personal. When I say universal, I had experiences that had to do with Nigerian realities, like having, getting delayed from finishing university, or not even getting to go to do the course in the university that you wanted to do. All of those Nigerian realities are universal to all of us. And unfortunately, they continue to be. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Unfortunately, the bulk of these challenges continue to be prevailing today. So I can speak to those ones, but I also know that there are specific questions that people would have on account of their own individual reality. And I'd be interested in sharing my views and opinion on those. But I do not claim some celestial power to have all the questions. I don't have all the questions. I'm actually still asking questions myself. That's why till tomorrow, one of my biggest commitments in life is to continue to explore books, read articles, and be very strategic as to the kind of people I engage and meet, and the kind of things that I use and invest my time in. Having said that, I'd like to say, if you're a young person listening and you're in your 20s, I'm assuming there are people that probably even above 20 that are here. Because the thing about, so I saw a funny tweet today. Somebody said that he could not wait to be old enough to become a sugar daddy. And then somebody replied, but it's not by age. And of course, it's not by age, it's by money. So there are some things that really and truly, it's not as much about your age as it's about your accomplishment. So somebody can be 40 and still need to hear some of these things. And somebody can be 25 and maybe has gone through a lot of these things and probably need something different to listen to. So even though this is a 20s conversation, I'm fully aware that for some people, it might feel like, maybe I've heard this before. For some people, it might feel like, oh, this is refreshing, this is new. And for some people that are above 20, it might feel like, oh, maybe I should have been in that conversation. One of the most important things you can do, I don't see the moderator right now, so I'm not sure if I'm still being heard. Yeah. So one of the most important things that you can do in your 20s is to take life serious. I say that because there is a lot of assumption. Thank you very much, Richard, for letting me know that you can hear me. There is this assumption that when you're in your 20s, you can fool around, you can do whatever shit you want to do. So permit me for words like shit. It is what it is. You can fool around and do whatever shit you want to do, that you have enough time to sort yourself out. I'd tell you that that's not true. I, of course, will enjoin you to have fun when you get the opportunity to have fun, to relax when it's time to relax, but to take it serious, to take your life serious, to be very, very intentional about your life, about the people you roll with, about the decisions you take, about what you spend your time doing. Because um, I'm going to be 37 in October, and between 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 to this point, it feels like yesterday. It doesn't feel so long ago, really. It does not feel so long ago when I sat down with a friend of mine. We were going to eat gari and akara back in that day, and he was going to dip his hand in the akara. And I was like, wait, guy, chill. Let's take in this moment because we're going to tell stories about it. We were in our 20s, right? We were in our 20s, and it feels like yesterday. I remember very clearly. I remember I see colors. I don't just remember in black and white right now. I see colors. Very, the clarity of my memory shows that this thing wasn't something that happened so far long ago, even though it feels like it was long ago. I say that because you may be 25 now, you may be 20 now, but the truth is, before you close your eyes and open it, you'll be 35 tomorrow morning. You'll be 40 before you realize it. You'll have your kids, you have your family, you'll be battling to pay school fees and stuff like that. What you do not want to happen to you is that you don't want life to happen to you. You don't want life to happen to you. You want to do everything in such a way that, so generally speaking in life, you would have situations where you have control over a number of things, and you would also have situations where you don't have control over a number of things. Generally speaking, you have control over many things. You don't have control over many things. I'll give an example. When you're preparing for an exam, or when you have an exam ahead of you, you have control over your preparation. You have control over your preparation. You have control over how you prepare, over who you prepare with, over what you prepare with, over how much time you spend preparing. You have control over all of that. You don't have control over whether it's going to rain on the day of your exam. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over who your supervisor is going to be. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over who your examiner, who is going to mark the exam. You don't have control over what situation they will be in when they're marking your exam, whether they would have had a fight with their husband or their wife. You don't have control over all of those stuff, but you do have control over preparing for the exam and over making sure that you do your best during the exam. The beauty of life is that even though the future is unpredictable, the beauty of life is that you can do a lot of things that you have control over that puts you in a position where your future is more predictable than another person's future. If our lives were a movie, if our individual lives, like all of us in this space now, when I say in this space, I mean, I know what we're in very different spaces, but all of us under the direct impact or influence of this conversation now, if our lives were a movie and people were watching us in a movie, our individual lives, I don't know what your individual lives are, but if somebody was watching your individual lives, they are able to tell to a certain degree that some people will likely succeed and some people, except they change course, may not succeed. And the reason why they're able to make that prediction is because now it's not all the prediction that will come to pass. Why? Because some things happen that are out of your control, right? Some things happen that are out of your control. More often than not, they are called accidents. So somebody has done everything they're supposed to do, prepared for the exam, done everything they're supposed to do, but something still happens that takes something out of their control. But generally speaking, and statistically speaking, if you gather 120-year-olds together, let's say people between the ages of 20 and 25, if you gather them together and put them in a physical space, let's say a city, give them the same resources, the same school, expose them to the same teachers, expose them to the same opportunities, on account of what they do with what they have control over, you are able to tell that somebody is going to thrive. You are able to tell that somebody will most likely fail except they change course. And for some people, you can't be too sure because they are not consistent. So what you want to do as a 20-year-old is that you want to imagine that you were seeing your own life as though somebody was watching a movie. So you want to, as you live your life, as you make your choices, as you visit the places that you visit, as you meet the people that you meet, you want to live your life and start to ask yourself, based on the choices that I make, based on the things that I do every day, really and truly, what kind of 30-year-old am I going to become? What kind of 35-year-old am I going to become? Because the truth of the matter is, more often than not, it is predictable. In the midst of life happening, in the midst of accidents, in the midst of the fact that we don't have control over many things, it's actually predictable. It's very much predictable. So you want to make sure that the unpredictability of your future reduces on account of the choices that you make. That is very much in your hands. In the midst of the fact that life can happen, accidents can happen, unfortunately, bad accidents do happen. But you want to just make sure that after all said and done, if something bad happens in the future, it would not be because you did not make the right choices or do the right things. Let me make it clear to you, by the way, that it is possible to make the right choices and still fail. That's just the way life is sometimes. You can make the right choice and still fail. But that does not happen too many times. What happens too many times is to make the wrong choice and fail. And there are very few situations that somebody makes the wrong choice and they got lucky. These are exceptions. Now, the thing with exceptions is that you don't want to use an exception to define your life and your choices. You don't want to say somebody made bad choices and ended up being successful, that are going to do that, because the thing with exceptions is that they are rare. So you're not going to act based on a rare occurrence. What is not rare is that when you do the right thing, make the right choices, you will most likely thrive. You will most likely succeed. And that's what you want to do for yourself. That's where you want to place yourself. To give yourself a higher chance of success by making sure that everything that is within your control, you do. And I'll give you examples of how to do that. Some of you have already started running your own businesses. Some of you probably have become tailors or fashion designers. Some of you have become makeup artists. Some of you are into buying and selling. One thing you want to do at this age is to be the kind of person that people can say certain things about you that they can take to the bank. So one of the things that my friends will tell you about me is that I do not waste time. So if I tell you that a meeting is 4 o'clock, you rest assured you meet me at 4 o'clock. Worst case scenario, I'll send you a message before 4 o'clock to say, I'm sorry, I had an unusual traffic. I'm sorry, I got an urgent call, blah, blah. I will let you know before 4 o'clock to say that something is happening that will make me not be able to keep to time or make me not be able to make the meeting. What will not happen is that I agree 4 o'clock with you. I don't make 4 o'clock and I did not communicate with you. I say that because this side of the world, Nigeria, you can have an appointment with someone for 2 o'clock. You don't see them at 2 o'clock, and you don't hear from them at 2 o'clock, and that's normal. That's normal. You don't see the person at 2 o'clock. You don't hear from the person at 2 o'clock, and that's very normal. Now, what you must do as a young person is that you must ensure that that's not normal to you. When you do that, you have started elevating yourself above the consequences that happens to normal people. And what are the consequences that happen to normal people? Normal people are poor. Normal people are part of the crowd. Normal people don't get talked about. Normal people don't get picked. Normal people have normal lives. If you want to have a normal life, then play according to the norm. If you have an appointment for 2 o'clock, don't arrive on time, and don't send an apology in advance if you're going to be delayed. But if you want to live a life that is different from the norm, then you've got to live a life that is different from the norm by doing things differently. Keeping to time is a big deal this side of the world. So if you're a fashion designer, for instance, just by being able to say you're going to deliver someone's cloth on Friday and delivering it on Friday already sets you apart in Nigeria automatically. If by saying that you will deliver something that you deliver on the day that you deliver it and you are able to deliver on that day, that already sets you apart this side of the world. And that's a big deal. And in business, what do people pay for? They pay for differentiation. The reason why somebody will pay 10,000 naira to you when they could have paid 7,000 naira to somebody else is because you differentiated yourself. You do that thing much better than other people, so much that many people would rather you do theirs, even though you have more people begging you to do it. Because they've come to trust your brand, they've come to trust your voice, they've come to trust your values, they've come to know that what you say is what you deliver. And that's what you must pursue, even in your 20s. Because people don't start knowing about people when they are in their 30s or their 40s. The bulk of my friends that I know from way back, I knew about them and their personality and what they are about in our 20s. Actually, some of them, when we were in secondary school, when we were teenagers, you could already start to see, of course, people take a different turn. Some people were good, they become bad. Some people were bad, they become good. But generally speaking, you start to get an idea of the kind of person somebody is going to become based on where you guys were in secondary school, right? And it's no surprise to me that these days, some of the people that send me text messages to ask for money were people that actually had lots of money when we were in secondary school. After secondary school, they were balling, but they did not have a plan for their lives. And they somehow assumed that the money they were getting from their parents or whatever source they were getting it from was going to continue. But you see, the thing with life is a time comes when you have to become responsible for yourself. You have to become responsible for yourself. Your guardian, they may be alive, but they won't. I mean, imagine being 30 or not 30, imagine being 40 and you still have to call up your parents to feed. That's not the situation where you want to be. I refuse to say 30 because there are circumstances that might make a 30-year-old being at home. There are circumstances that might make one understand why that person is still at home. There are circumstances that some people might want to say it's all right, it's okay, it's not so bad. But at 40, nobody is going to rationalize except something extraordinary happened to you. God forbid, say an accident that changed your life completely. Generally speaking, at 40, nobody's going to rationalize you still having to wait to collect money from your mom or your dad or something like that. So ultimately, a time has to come where you have to make these decisions, you have to make these choices, and you have to move on with your life, right? But like I said earlier, I don't want to assume that I know the questions that you're asking at this age, because one thing that I know about this age is that it's the age of questions, is the age of doubts. Sorry, not the age, the decade, 20 to 30 or 20 to 29, is the decade of doubt, is the decade of confusion, is the decade of distractions. You know, this is the age really where you want to ball as a guy. You want to roll with the babes. And I speak as someone who did this thing. So this is not, don't even get it confused. Don't get it twisted. I was not all about books, and books. Hey, that's not true. I was I liked girls, you know. I liked girls a lot. Since back when I was in King's College, we used to leave school. We already used to leave school to run after girls. Only Child, Vivian Fowler Memorial, Queen's College Lagos, Federal Government College Shagamu, Federal Government Girls College Shagamu, Federal Government Girls College Ipetumodu. All of those girls' schools, we went after them. We did not back off from those girls. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying to become this person that you don't have time for fun. Look, 20-year-olds will do what 20-year-olds do. And what do 20-year-olds do? They like girls, they like boys. It is what it is. So I'm not saying that. Don't get that confusing at all. I'm not saying that. I liked, I partied, I had fun. But the difference between me and most other people was that in the midst of having fun, I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew not to get carried away. I knew what was important. So I wouldn't take weed, for instance, and get messed up to the point where you cannot even differentiate between reality and being gone. I wouldn't be so far gone into anything that I forgot who I was and what my life was about. So you must retain your consciousness for your future. So you can be with your friends, hanging out and partying and drinking, and with girls or with boys. You cannot afford to forget the fact that that cannot be your normal. That is your reward for getting good results. That is your reward for finally setting up that business or finally getting that side gig. That cannot be your normal. Drinking every day, even now I cannot drink every day. Even though I can afford any drink I want, any drink, I can afford it. And I can afford to drink every day now. But drinking every day, partying every day, going to chase girls every day, or I don't know, these days girls seem to chase boys now. So going to chase boys every day cannot be your normal. That cannot be your normal. And the beauty of the whole thing is that I will tell you for free, guys and ladies, I'll tell you for free. So somebody told me when I was like 18, I liked girls, man. I liked girls a lot. I'm not going to lie. So somebody told me on account of wanting me to chill with this, they always see me with girls all the time. On account of wanting me to chill, they told me that if I managed to be successful, in life, that all these chasing girls, I won't be able to do because it's the girls that'll be chasing me. That is me that'll get tired. Now, when they told me this thing, in my mind, in my head, I was moving towards the person. I didn't do it physically. I just kept quiet, like I was listening. But inside of me, I was like, how will girls be chasing? Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I'll always be the one to chase. But of course, the person turned out to be right. I didn't even know there was going to be Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter with babes coming into the DMs every day. I didn't know that was going to happen, minus the physical ones, of course. I never thought that was real. I never thought that was going to happen, but it happened and it continues to happen. The reason why I say that story is because when you succeed as a guy, as a lady, people will chase you. It is what it is. When you are successful footballer, successful actor, successful business person, even successful first-class students. Have you not seen those first-class students that babes are always going to their houses to go and learn one thing or the other? Bro, sometimes they don't just learn. People have fun in the midst of that. So maybe for that first-class guy, maybe the other reward he gets is that he gets success at a lower level. That's not like real success. That's success at a lower level. Every stage in life, success, the definition of success kind of changes. So as a university student, of course, success would be to, get a good grade. After university, well, the grades are finished, maybe get a good job or start a good business. So as you go in life, success, there's a point where success becomes how you're able to train your children. So as you go in life, your definition of success sort of changes. But the point I'm making is, if you continue to succeed across the ladder, you will get chased. You will get chased for different reasons. So as I sit here, for instance, I'm negotiating joining the board of an international organization. I did not apply for this. I did not make any move whatsoever. I got an email, we would like for you to be on our board because we saw this, and everything is done, completely done, just waiting for a contract. So because when I say chase, people think chase is only like, when it comes to all this sexual stuff. I mean, chase in every sense of the word. Everybody wants to associate with you. Friends, family, even enemies want to say that that guy that well, we're not the one that used to abuse him 10 years ago. Everybody wants to claim that they had one form of relationship with you. Success is a big deal, but success is not an accident. Success is not an accident. It's something that you can make happen by taking the right decision, by making the right choices, and very important, by making big sacrifices. So when others are partying around, you are reading. When others are whiling away their time doing all sorts of nonsense, you're exploring. When others are allowing people to allowing themselves to end up in the midst of just about anybody as their friends, you're very intentional about the kind of person you want, the kind of people you want to be friends with. Now, when I say being intentional about the kinds of people you want to be friends with, I don't mean that you should kick people away from your life. That's not what I mean. You know, you can be around people and still not be their friends. People can be in your circle and still not be in your corner. You know, we can be in the same circle, but may not be in the same corner. So I personally have perfected the art of making people feel like they are around me, but I know those that are in my corner. So I make people feel comfortable around me because I don't want people to feel like I'm pushing them away, that I'm maybe, you know, they start to say you're feeling too big and all of that stuff. So I want to avoid that. So I'm very good with giving you a sense of belonging around me. But I know those that are in my corner. I know those that are in my corner. And you have to learn how to do that. You have to learn how to make sure that you're choosing the right people in your corner. Don't let that be an accident. So you were born into a certain family. Well, that was an accident of life. You did not choose your family. You were born into that family. Some of you were born into a family where everything was available. Alhamdulillah. Thank God for your life. Some of you had to struggle for everything. Some of you had to struggle for everything. Again, that's not a bad thing. Life somehow manages to give you enough for you to be able to give yourself the remaining. I don't think that life leaves anyone where they have nothing at all. And to have nothing at all is to be dead, because you always have something. You always have something. And if you want more, you have to do more. You have to start out by doing more. So whom much is given, much is expected. I posted pictures of my sporting collection of books today. I just took a part of my library and I took pictures of the sporting collection, especially a particular one that I carefully selected, and I put some sporting greats, you know, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, you know, Messi, Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, Alex Ferguson. I took a picture of that. I posted it. The interesting thing was that after I posted it, people have collected my address to send me more books. People have collected my address to send me more books. There's a likelihood that those that are collecting my address to send me more books, there's a likelihood that they don't even have as many books. There are few people that would have as many books as I do, at least few people my age, because I have quite a number. Lagos, Abuja, outside the country. But they are sending to me, and the reason is because when you are successful, people want to give to you. It's funny. Have you not noticed very rich people, when they want to have a party, in case you've not noticed, let me let you know. When a rich person wants to have a party, a really rich person, a rich, powerful person, when they want to have a party, they are not the ones that cover the rice, the drinks, and all of those things. People are constantly volunteering. People are volunteering. Me, I'm not even that big, right? My friends that know about this, my international appointment, this is not public information yet, and nobody should be tweeting this. This is not something you should be tweeting. This is something you should be listening for yourself and jotting down. This is not for tweeting. Whoever is not here, their destiny did not let them to be here. They will hear it from somewhere else, inshallah. But this is for you to listen for yourself and take down. So this is the international appointment that I'm on the verge of getting. I have friends reaching out to me that, oh, this is what they would like to do for the media part, blah, blah, blah. And they want to do it. I'm not going to pay for that. The reason is because success comes with many additives. Success is like it's like pizza, right? Where you now have other things on top of it. You know, like a cake. It has icings that are also just as sweet and just as beautiful. Icings in terms of the opportunities you get, in terms of the people you meet, in terms of even more successes, in terms of the choices you have. So the more you succeed, the more your choices. So the likelier are able to say, no, I don't want that. No, I'm sorry. Nah, like taking this engagement, for instance, I have said no to several. No to several. But I also know that 10 years ago, I could not say no to any. I took virtually every speaking engagement that came my way because I was still trying to prove myself. But now I say no to more than I take because I'm more successful than I used to be 10 years ago, right? So what you want to do is you want to earn that success by doing everything you're supposed to do already earlier. You know that 10,000 hour rule, go beyond the 10,000 hours. You know why you have to go beyond the 10,000 hours? 10,000 hours is old school. So now everybody has already heard about the 10,000 hour rule. So it means that it has equalized. There's a kind of equalization. To separate yourself from the crowd, you cannot know what the crowd knows. You have to know more. You cannot do what the crowd does. You have to do more. Your level of consciousness cannot be at the level of the crowd. It has to be higher. If everything about you is average, you know as much as the next person, you have been to as many places as the next person, your way of picking friends or being in the midst of friends is like the next person, you drink like the average person, you do things like the average person, it won't be an accident that at the end of your life, it would have been an average life. To have an exceptional life, to have an exceptional story, you have to do a lot more. I don't know how many of you know about Cristiano Ronaldo. There's this argument these days in football about who is the greatest between Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. I have my own opinion, but that's not the essence of this conversation. What I'll tell you is that Lionel Messi was born a genius, no question about that. He was born a genius, a football genius. Cristiano Ronaldo had lots of talent as a footballer, but nowhere near Lionel Messi's raw talent, nowhere near. But back from then, Cristiano always stayed back. He always got to the training early. He always stayed back to do things. You guys have come for training. Every football club, they have a time frame for you to come to arrive at the training ground, and they try time frame for you to leave. It's like a job. It's like a 9 to 5. You get there at 7. You have your first training. You do some gym work. You have your afternoon training. You go back to your house. There are some things you should not drink. Blah blah blah. But Cristiano went the extra mile by doing extra gym work. He went the extra mile by taking extra time to shoot free kicks, to do all of that. No disrespect to Wayne Rooney, one of his contemporaries. Wayne Rooney is now retired. Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 36 keeps breaking records. I use him as an example because even those that don't know football, I expect that you would know that person. And the essence of that story is that even though you have certain talents, so let's say you're naturally a talented speaker. Let's say you have skills, you can do many things with your hands. You have skills, you can do many things when it comes to making people up or being a photographer or whatever you think you have skills in. I was born to do it. Born to do it or not, what you must do for yourself is that you must ensure that you are constantly giving more, you are constantly doing more. It's interesting that one of my best skills as a person is actually public speaking. And one of the things that I've bought more books on is how to be a better speaker. So the fact that you think that you're talented to do something is not an excuse for you to take it lightly or to take it lightly or to be like a dazzle about it. You must then even commit to doing better because you don't want to end up as the average person. You want to do much more. You want to advance much further. And you want to be this person that when you speak, without saying listen up, people actually listen because you're constantly dropping gems. I think at this point, I'm just going to chill and just take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, JJ. I mean, it was very, very enlightening conversation. I mean, you just broke down that we have to just stand out. We have to just be excellent to do those things that will make us to be at the top, right? JJ, are you there? So we have a question from YouTube. I think JJ just went off for some minutes. He'll be back shortly. Yeah, so I mean, some of the things, can someone just drop what he has learned from this 30-40 minutes conversation? What stood out for you? And thank you, Richard. I've been seeing your response is very helpful. Can you just drop what you learned? What was the major thing you learned on the chat box, please? I think mine will be um, learning that, I mean, you have to just do things that are extraordinary in order to get the results that you want. You have to be ready to put in the work. Yes, same thing as Tolu Oladipo is saying. You have to put in the work. You have to do something extraordinary. Yes, that's what it takes to really stand out. And we're glad we're having this conversation at this point in our lives, right? Because this these are the things that will stand us out from years to come. Because as JJ mentioned, JJ is just 35. He'll be 35 in October, right? And he has done a lot. He's been invited on various boards. But the truth is, there is a time for everything. It's because he has put in the work um, earlier in his life. So that's why he's bearing the fruit now. Okay. Thank you, JJ. I think you're back now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so just recapping for people that I mean, because now looking at you, you're approaching 35, and it shows that the time you spent in your 20s is what is giving you the results that you have now, right? And somebody from YouTube is asking a question that did you ever have any times of obscurity, and how did you handle it because of where you are now?
I did have I think one of the things that helped me. So I attended King's College Lagos, and I was one of the most popular students. I was captain of the relay team. I was doing well academically. So I was a star back in secondary school. And the expectation was that I'd get some scholarship and go study abroad, right? But I ended up in Abeokuta. Yeah. And I didn't just end up in Abeokuta. I ended up as a pre-degree student. That was very tough for me. It was very tough for me. But when I look back, I'm grateful for that experience. And the reason was because up from the point I was a child that I started being conscious of my left and right. And when I left secondary school, everything was pam, pam, pam. Everything just looked natural and easy. It was very easy to take things for granted. I learned more about life when I landed myself in Abeokuta, and I had to do this pre-degree to then get into the degree program. And for the first 2 years as a university student, I didn't even want to be there. I just felt that I deserved much better. Of course, eventually I adjusted, and I realized, look, it is what it is now, and I had to do it. But I'm very grateful for that period because it made me a better human being. So I was this person that I was doing well academically. I was very focused on everything, but I was not, I wouldn't say that I was grounded as a person. My personality was not as layered as I needed to be. And going to that school, being in that place where my mates that I had gone to KC with that were expecting a lot of big things from me at that point did not even hear about me again. That disappearance really helped me because it built me for the kind of life that I'm living now. And of course, eventually I came out of that space, and I'm here, and I'm grateful for that. So it would happen to you. It may happen to you that you feel that you're supposed to be a star. You're supposed to be in a better place, in a better school with maybe even a better surrounding cast. And it just ends up that you're not that person. Well, you've got to keep yourself grounded. You've got to keep digging. And if you're a Christian, if you're a Christian and you pay attention to your Bible, you'd actually see that some of the greatest guys in the Bible, they went through a period of disappearance. And look at Joseph. Before Joseph became this guy that became the founder of Israel, was it Joseph or Jacob? Hold on, Joe. Joseph, it was Jacob, right? The guy with the many colors. It was Jacob.
Joseph.
Hey, which one had many colors? Joseph.
Joseph, yes.
It was Joseph. Jacob is his father, right?
Yeah.
It was Joseph. Thank you very much. It was a period of disappearance. He was even in prison. So imagine you had dreamt that people were going to bow to you, that your brothers were going to bow to you, that the moon and the stars were going to bow to you. And it was a real dream. You saw it. It was clear. And then, bam, you're in prison. It's very, very easy to disappear, to just let go and say, wow, well, maybe it was a fake dream. Maybe I was dreaming about my brother or somebody else. It wasn't for me. But he didn't let go. He kept being himself. He kept maintaining his focus. He kept maintaining his consciousness, his persona, his values by not doing things that he would not ordinarily do if he was that star. And ultimately, of course, he came out of that and he became. Even Jesus Christ, was the son of a carpenter who doesn't look like some very prestigious place to be as the son of a carpenter. And there was a lot of disappearance between when he was a child and when he became 30 or 33. And when he became 30 and, he went to be baptized and, God said, this is my beloved son and all of that thing. There was a huge gap in the story where nothing was said at all. For me, it was a period of wilderness. And you can say the same thing about Moses. You can, those of you that don't know the Bible, I'm sorry, but these are the analogies that I'm able to use. You can say the same thing about Moses. And if you pay attention to other historical figures, whether it's Julius Caesar, whether it's even the people that we revere today, you'd find out that they had periods in their life where that was the period where they were supposed to be doubting whether things were working, but they refused. They probably would have even doubted. I had periods when I doubted, but they refused to let go and they refused to change their ways. They were still committed to the things that made them who they were. They constantly were doing their research, were reading, were training, were giving it all their everything. And when life came with the opportunity, they were ready.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I'll ask another question from the audience, then David will take over. So Maiwa is asking that since this is a decade of uncertainty, how do we go about gaining clarity, right? And even discovering ourselves? Because you mentioned that you can speak. That's one of the things you can do. I mean, some people have not gotten to that stage where they know what they can do. So how do they gain clarity and discovery?
Yeah, I think clarity is like in research. To get clarity, you've got to keep asking. To get clarity, you've got to keep asking. So some people, they are fortunate enough to find themselves early. Some people don't even find themselves until their 40s. And that's fine. That's fine. What you don't want to happen is that you're not doing anything. You're at least questioning. So clarity will come from questioning. Clarity will come from exploring. Clarity will come from asking. Clarity will come from humility. Clarity will come from being inquisitive. Clarity is not going to fall on your laps. This is the clarity. It's not going to happen like that. You're not going to have a dream like Joseph. Even Joseph that had a dream, he didn't have clarity as to how the dream would come about. I mean, he didn't see in the dream that he was going to be sold into slavery by his brothers. He did not see all of that, right? So clarity will come from you testing things, from you exploring, from you reading books, from you. When you go on YouTube, what do you watch? When you go on YouTube, what do you watch? And I'm not saying you should not watch music videos. I love watching music videos. I'm not saying you should not watch movies. I love watching movies. But let me tell you the difference between how I watch movies and how other people, normal people watch movies. Because there are lots of movies to watch, and I know I'm not going to watch all the movies in the world. So I'm very, very choosy as to what I watch. I watch movies that are extremely popular. The reason is because I speak to people all around the world. So when I pick examples from a movie, I'm comfortable enough to know that a lot of people in my audience will be able to relate to my example. So I watch movies that are extremely popular. The other reason why I watch movies that are extremely popular is because at least I don't sit down in front of a movie planning to use my 2 hours, not knowing what is going to happen. So when I say not knowing what is going to happen, I don't like to watch a movie that I know what is going to happen. But I want to know that the movie is interesting enough for me to sit down before I sit down. And these are two different things. I don't know what is going to happen in the movie, but I know that this movie is powerful on account of the things I've heard people say. I avoid sitting down before a movie and not being sure whether it's going to be worth my time. I don't risk my 2 hours like that. I think it's too much of. I could cover a lot of ground in reading a new book for 2 hours, or even learning how to apply some words for 2 hours. So when you watch a movie, what kind of choices do you make? If you're looking to be an investigator, you could be intentional about the kind of movies you watch by watching movies like that. When you spend your time on TV, what do you spend your time watching? Now, don't let us get it twisted. There will be times where you're just watching a movie for the sake of watching, and that's fine. And you should actually do that. It is not every time you kaku. It's not every time I do my kaku. It's not every time where I'm like, okay, how does this apply to my life? There are times that I watch E. I don't know how many of you know the E station on DSTV. I watch E. I watch the Kim Kardashian show, right? Sometimes I watch Big Brother, right? I watch stuff like that because when your brain is always working and you want to also watch things that help your brain to step down, that feels like you're losing brain cells. Of course, you're not losing brain cells, you're just relaxing. So I have times where I'm very, very chilled. I'm very, very generous with my time, and I'm very, very relaxed. I'm not thinking about, oh, am I not supposed to be reading? But I can do that now also because I've sort of earned the reward. When you walk to a certain point, you start to separate July to August and say, okay, my July is for holidays. There are people, if you call them in August, they will never answer you. It's for holidays. But their life was not always like that. Their life was not always like that. They used to work throughout the year before, but they got to a certain stage in life where they could afford to say, August, I'm not working for you. Of course, if you have loads of money, you can go and put it on their table and you may be able to tempt them, but they will not just work for you just because. You have to negotiate them out of that time. Pep Guardiola left Barcelona and he took a year out, a complete year, and said he was not doing any work. It takes a lot of success to say, I'm taking a year out of work. So when you succeed to a certain point, you actually buy a lot of freedom for yourself. And freedom comes in different ways. Freedom comes in terms of choosing what city you want to live in, what city you want to spend your holiday, what schools your kids will go to. It comes in saying, okay, on Sundays, I don't speak. I don't want to engage. I don't want to have anything to do on Sunday. It comes in saying every August or every July, I don't know. Success just buys you more freedom, and that's what you want to do. But it does not happen by accident. It takes a lot of investment, a lot of commitment, a lot of sweating, a lot of nights where there are doubts as to whether it is going to work. But the thing about clarity is that it is something that doesn't just happen. It takes iteration, reiteration, trying, retrying, failing forward, reading, finding yourself, thinking you found yourself, then finding yourself again. It's a daily thing. It's brick upon brick, day upon day, hour upon hour. But ultimately, not letting go of yourself. You will be grateful when clarity comes. You'll be great. And clarity is also not a point of arrival. Clarity also evolves. So there's a point where you gain clarity, but it's clarity for that stage of your life. As you keep going, you find out that you keep rediscovering, and there are new levels of clarity, new levels of revelation, and you just keep moving forward. The danger of success is that some people get carried away and they think they've arrived. But when you become successful, one thing you must learn is that there's no arrival point for success. There's no destination. So my Apple phone showed me, Apple, those of you that use iPhone, I said Apple phone, iPhone. Those of you that use iPhone, you know that these days it shows you pictures from the past. And I saw a picture of a former Malian prime minister, a former prime minister of Mali that I think I met him in Dakar in 2014 or so. And the business card said former prime minister, former this, former that. And there was no part of the card that had present anything. So you don't want to be that person that's a former. You keep evolving, you keep rediscovering yourself, you keep going, you keep moving forward. Those of you that know Jay-Z, the rapper, one of his songs, I think he sang it with Drake, where he said, he was singing that we off that. You're talking about rims, we're off that. If you're going to buy this Benz, I already bought it. If you're going to sing this song, I already sang it. Like, on to the next one. I have Obama on my text message. Oprah Winfrey is on my phone. Like, levels have changed. And now that song was like maybe 10 years ago. His levels are different now. The things that he was saying that he was off, that he was on the new things, those new things that he was on at that time have become old things, and he's evolved. I mean, he's a billionaire now, and now he's not going to be singing, I'm going towards the billy, because he's past that. He's onto other things. So the beauty of success is that it's not an arrival point. You find out that you keep going forward. So success, like I mentioned, for somebody in 100 level is to maybe make sure that you don't get below 4 points. And if you got 3.5 in your first term, success to be that you got 3.7. So success is not as universal as people make it at times. Success more often than not is personal to you. For somebody that has never finished above, let's say somebody is in primary school and the class is 40 people, the person has never finished above, the person is always inside the last 20 in class. So 40 people, first 20 never, is always in last 20. The other person finishes 15th. That person has been successful for that term. That person has been successful. So you must also be careful not to define your success according to your friends. When I was in UNAB, my friends were getting big awards in universities in America and the UK. And it could have looked like I was failing at the time, but I was not failing because it was not a competition between me and them. It was my life. So ultimately, you must not get sucked into this. And it happens by default where you are getting sucked into a competition with people that you know, with your friends. In fact, for your generation, is even worse. For my generation, the mental competition was people that you went to school with, people that grew up on your street, people that you were in church or mosque with. These days, your competition is people that you don't know from anywhere, that you follow on Instagram. You don't know their story. You don't know the background. You don't know the background behind the pictures they took or the clothes they wore, but they are pressuring you and it stresses you out. And you are in your 20s, you're doing well academically, you've got a beautiful future ahead of you, but you're getting stressed out by people that don't know you from anywhere, that people that really and truly you do not know from anywhere. You must avoid that. You must not let yourself get sucked into this social media culture where people are thinking that other people are more successful than them on account of the pictures and the videos that they see. No, it must be about you. It must be about you. So if you used to read 2 books in a month before and you are reading 4 books now, that's success. If you did not understand what you used to read before, but now you have clarity from reading, that's success. If before you could not face 3 people to speak to them before, now you can face 10, that's success. And now what you must now do is to have incremental success so that you are building upon success every year. I can tell you how I went from being grateful to be invited to come and speak in Ilorin to me having to choose between speaking in the USA or speaking in Kenya because they clashed. I can tell you the story. And that does not happen by accident. That happens by being intentional, by being committed. I went for a conference in Canada in 2014. It was my first time in Canada back in 2014. After the conference, when I got back to Nigeria, I sent them a document of what they could have done better with their media. I sent them it. I took my time to study everything and I sent them. So of course, everybody goes to the conference, you go back home, that's the end of the conference. Some people remember to say, thank you for inviting me. It was a great blah, blah, blah. That's a good layer. That's a good layer to not be the person that just, after the conference, you just disappear. They're supposed to thank you, but you to send an email, say, thank you for inviting me. But I went that extra mile by saying, look, this was a beautiful conference. This was extraordinary. If you want to get more leverage from your conference, these are my suggestions. That was 7 years ago. I can assure you that thing reaped its fruits. Is this 7 years ago, 2014? Yeah. 7 years later was when I reaped the fruits of that action. So sometimes you even do these things. And I wasn't doing it to earn any fruits. I was not doing it to collect any fruits or get anything. I was doing it because, well, I saw the gaps. And how did I see the gaps? I saw the gaps because I had expertise in that thing. And how did I have expertise in that thing? I spent time learning about that thing. So everywhere I go, I'm seeing the gaps and I'm giving, and I'm also brave enough to not say, how will I go and send email to these people, all these Igbo people? No, I did not do that. Because my self-worth was sharp. My self-worth was active. I did not feel intimidated. I took my time, sent the email to them. They were grateful for it. I emailed them to let them know, oh, by the way, I've seen this. You guys should try and sort it out. So involve yourself. Don't be amongst people that don't disappear. Do not disappear. And don't let the fact that people are going to say you are showing yourself to make you shrink. Do not shrink, because whatever you do, people will talk anyway. People are born to talk. You know, the normal people, everyday people, they are born to talk. That's the responsibility. They are spectators. They are supposed to say, oh, should have kicked the ball like this, kick the ball like that. Well, I'm the one playing the game, right? So don't even get sucked into what people will say or what people will not say. Just make sure that you are serving your interest, you're serving the interests of your friends, and you're making sure that every day, in every way, you're getting better and better.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so insightful. So shout out to all the people on YouTube. A lot of people are also watching on YouTube, apart from the people here in Zoom. So thank you so much. A couple of questions from YouTube, but I'd like to ask a couple of questions from YouTube and also ask a question of mine. And because we have to let you go shortly, because I know that you said you had other things to do. So
no, take your time. Take your time. Give me a second to get some water.
Oh, all right, sir. All right, sir. Okay, so just give me a minute. All right, guys. I hope that you're enjoying this. He's just giving us some more minutes. We're supposed to round up exactly by 5, right? So he's just giving us some more minutes and enjoy. Just drop your questions. Drop your learnings. Tell him how much you have loved the sessions, what you have learned so far. Has it been for you? Just you guys just okay. I see that. I see all of that. I see you, Dami of Lagos on YouTube. I see you. I see Temitope Shuta. I see you. I see Ibrahim. Right. Just drop your questions. How's it been for you? Tell me your learnings. I hope that you are sharing the links with people. Share this link with people on YouTube.
Take your time. As long as you don't eat into the Portugal-Belgium match, I'm good.
Exactly. You know, we were very specific about this time because we needed to watch.
Yeah. So take your time.
Right. Okay. So why are you supporting for the match? Let me just repeat that to you. Is it Portugal for the match? Is it Portugal or Belgium? I can almost think it's Portugal.
The better team should win. The better team should win.
Well, I'm for Portugal anyways. I'm for Portugal.
Okay. Because of Cristiano.
Yeah, Ronaldo is always my guy. All right.
I hope you don't get hurt tonight.
Questions from YouTube. So a question here is asked by Dami of Lagos. It says, what would you have done differently in your 20s? Do you have any regrets? So I'd like to back it up with, how do you deal with failures and mistakes that you have made in the past? Because those things kind of have a way of shaping our lives.
How do you deal with what?
Failures and regrets failures and mistakes rather that you have made in the past, right? So, for instance, you know that you have taken an action, and these things get to have a way of paralyzing you. So, how do you deal with that? That's one question. Do you want to answer the questions?
Or let me take this.
All right.
So go ahead. The thing is, I avoid regrets. Because the failures that we make in the past somehow have a way of benefiting us in the future. So something that you did, that you failed at, somehow has a way of benefiting you in the future. It has a way of making you do better in the future. So I'd rather learn from my errors, I'd rather take the lessons from my losses and my failures rather than say regrets. Right? Because I understand that life is not a straight line where you're always going to be winning, or where every decision you take brings a good result. There will be times where you somehow took the wrong decision. There'll be times where you did not know and something bad happened. There'll be times where you outrightly failed. The most important thing is that you pick lessons from that failure, right? For me, regret is a waste of time. So you are regretting, and then what? Because, this reality is divided into 3. There is the past, there is the present, and there is the future. When it comes to the past, you can't do jack about it, except to say whether if you did something wrong to someone in the past, you can say you're sorry. But that thing you did, that particular thing, you cannot do anything about it. Now, you might be able to do something to them in the future or now to make it better, but you cannot change that past. It has been done. You cannot do anything about the past. It is gone. What you want to do is that you want to do something in the present that makes the future a better prospect. So there is no, as far as I'm concerned, don't dwell on, because one thing that happens in sports, I like to use sports as an example because there's many things about sport that actually reflects in our life. In basketball, I don't know how many of you watch basketball, but you don't have to watch basketball to understand the point I'm making. The best basketball players, when they aim for the basket, and they miss, the next time they're aiming for the basket, that last miss is not on their mind. They've moved on from it. They've moved on. That last three misses is not on their mind. They've moved on. They are not carrying the energy. So they're not carrying the doubt from their previous failure. The average basketballers, it's in their mind. Those last shots that they took that did not enter the basket, they still have it in their mind. So and it creates a self-doubt for the next shots that they take. It creates a self-doubt. So one thing you must learn as a person is that don't dwell on the things you failed in. Avoid dwelling on them. Learn the lesson and move on. Move on. Please move on fast. Learn the lesson and move on. Don't get sucked into your failure. Don't get sucked into your errors, because the decade of 20s is actually the decade of mistakes. You are allowed as many mistakes as possible because it's the decade of trial. It's the decade where the people that I do things with that are in their 20s, I permit them more failures than other people. When you're 40, they are doing some fun. I'm looking at you like, these are stupid things you should have done when you were 15 and 20. What's wrong with you? Why did you delay your stupidity to last in your 40s, right? So the decade of your 20s is actually the decade where, to some extent, you are allowed some mistakes. You are allowed to, but when I say allowed, I'm not saying to intentionally. You can't come out and be outrightly and intentionally stupid and be telling me, but somebody said that we are allowed some mistakes. No, that's not what I'm saying. Please don't get it twisted. I'm saying it is permitted if somehow you got it wrong, but not that you intentionally carrying it in your head. They say we can be stupid now when we are in our 20s. That's not the point I'm making. But it's the age of experiments. It's the age of trial. It's the age of bravery. It's the age where when others are afraid, you're actually ready to do it. You're committed to it. You're not afraid. You cannot be afraid in your 20s because you don't have anything to lose. You don't have a reputation to defend, like, oh, this person used to be a great person at this or a great footballer. No. Go out there and do it. And that's why in football, when they introduce a young person into the pitch, two things are likely. Either they do very, very well or they do woefully. Bukayo Saka played his first competitive game for England the other day. He was the best player on the pitch. Bukayo is just 20 or thereabout, or maybe even 19. So have that in mind. So when it comes to failures and mistakes at the age of in your 20s, please don't even sweat it. Do not sweat it at all. Just look out for the lessons in them. Look out for the lessons. What would you have done differently? What should you have done differently? Outline them and do it. Always have a jotter, and now we have our phones with you. So take things down on your phone. If you gained an insight on something, quickly take it down. Look, your memory is good, but it's always a good thing to write things, because when you can always go back to things, it actually reinforces your belief in your path and in your journey. What would I have done differently? Well, I don't know, because I did my best part-time. One of the advantages I had in my 20s was that I was fully conscious of the fact that I could not afford to fail in life. I was conscious of it. I placed a burden on myself that there was no room for failing. So I took a lot of responsibilities. I did not always succeed. So I would have counted as failure, for instance, that I did not get a scholarship post-secondary school. But I finally I went to do a program abroad, and it was a scholarship. So eventually I got a scholarship, flights, feeding, bowling, school fees, everything. I didn't pay a dime, right? So ultimately I got it. So in life, especially at your age, don't dwell on the fact that something did not work out. Just, always have this at the back of your mind, on to the next one. So whether you succeeded, on to the next one. Whether you failed, on to the next one. Don't dwell on what has happened. Try to pick your pieces together and keep moving. Remember, the best basketballers, like I said, they don't dwell on the past shot where they didn't make the shot and then it's heavy on their mind. So when they are shooting the next one, there's a bit of self-doubt. The greatest basketballers are not like that. They just go and do what they're supposed to do. They just do it, like Nike. The average ones, you can see that the doubts from missing those shots always crosses their mind. So I think that's what I was saying with respect to regret in the 20s. What would I do differently? Failures and mistakes. Look, just make sure that part time you're taking the best decision according to what you know. And to increase your chances of taking the better decisions, try to know as much as possible, try to meet as many people as possible, try to see as many places as possible, try to explore as many views as possible. Don't be a close-minded person. Don't be this person that says, oh, if you're not Hausa because I'm Hausa, then I'm not going to be friends with you. If you're not Christian because I'm Christian, I'm not going to be friends with you. If open your mind, open your world. The world is bigger than your village view. It's a global village for a reason. People will be different from you. They will have different views from you. They will know different things from you. But the power of coming together, of learning from other people, you become like a Voltron. So I know when my friends pray. My friends are Muslims. I'm a Christian. I know when they pray. I know the names of the prayers. I know the energy, I know the culture, I know not what to do when it's time for Fajr and all of these things, because it matters to me that I know these things. And the ones that are not Muslims, I know other things they're interested in. The ones that are from different cultures, I know what they're interested in. That thing empowers you, because when you now get into different spaces, you're able to thrive, because they now see you as a woman or a man of the world. Because whether you're in France, whether you're in Paris, or you're in London, or you're in Afghanistan, or you're in Jakarta, or Cape Town, or Cairo, or Lagos, or Abuja, you're able to thrive because you've expanded your mind, you've read books about places you had never been to, you've listened to conversations that you were never exposed to. You're not just sucked into your own world thinking, oh my God, I'm so intelligent, I'm so brilliant. That's good, but please be humble, open your mind, listen, and don't get sucked into this regret thing. Regret is not for you at your 20s. I don't even think regret is for you in your 80s. Because as long as you're taking your decisions according to the best information available to you, it is what it is. I'll give you a personal example. And this is where politics comes in. So a lot of people sort of blame me for my decision in 2015 with respect to supporting Buhari, but I'm not going to blame myself. I took my decision according to what was on my table at that point in time, and I have moved on from it. Now, what would I do differently is the question. So for the future, what could I have done? Then I can address that. But for me to get sucked in that past, I don't have enough resources to get sucked in a past that is behind me. I'm more focused about what I can do better on account of decisions I took in the past, so that I can take a better picture, a better decision in the future. So in this case, what does it mean? It means that it's not enough for me to say, oh, this is the kind of president I do not want. It matters that I decide, okay, so what kind of president do I want? Because in 2015, I was so certain about the kind of president I did not want, but I was not certain about the kind of president I wanted. And that was also the situation where Nigeria found itself. There was no question as to, okay, so if you don't want this one, the one we want, what should we expect? What should he or she look like? What should he or she sound like? What should be his policies and ideas and his values? There was no questioning that. It was just, we don't want this guy. We don't want this guy. So that was the lesson I picked from that. I can use that in the future, but I'm not going to beat myself up on account of not knowing that in the past. It is what it is. So yeah, that's how I deal with it. And that's my suggestion for dealing with the mistakes you made in the past. Whether you went around with a guy, you got pregnant, that pregnancy became a baby. Well, the baby has been born. You are living with the consequences of having to go to school and having a child, or you are the guy, you are the one that impregnated someone. Now you have a baby, it's a distraction. Well, you've done that. That has happened. What can you now do to make sure that you, the woman, the baby, you're all tried? After all said and done, you cannot undo what has, except if it's something you can undo. And there are a few things you can undo. If you hurt somebody, you say sorry, or it feels like an undoing. But generally speaking, what has been done has been done. You just want to make sure that in the midst of what has happened, you're able to continue to move forward. You don't let the past drag you into it. And don't let people drag you into the past. People do that very well. They constantly are reminding you of what you used to be, of how you used to fail, of how messy you were, of how stupid you were. Because for them, it matters that you continue to get sucked in that past so that you don't move too far ahead of them. Do not let that happen to you.
All right, amazing. So this is actually very brilliant. I loved everything that you said. I'll just sum it up like John Oniba said on YouTube. So people are still listening on YouTube, and he said, in short, which is regret is a total waste of time. Pick up the lessons and move on very fast. And that's the summation of everything that you said. That's amazing. I'd just like to go into something else. Earlier on, you talked about choices. So one of the things that we talk about a lot in 20 Strive, and which you had also mentioned, is that choices actually shape you. So very soon you begin to look like your choices, right? And you said that there's a very good possibility of making the right choice and eventually it seeming like you made the wrong choice, right? With bad outcomes, right? Or you can actually even make a wrong choice and it can seem like you made the right choice because it comes with a lot of good results. So how do you balance your choices? What are the frameworks or the values, the rules, the belief system that ensures that you are making the right choice per time? Because choices is something that matters a lot, especially as we go through our journey as 20 something. So how do you balance your choices? How do you make sure that you're making the right choices? What are the
The most
values
important question is why.
Hmm.
The most important question is why. Okay, I come to my house now. You don't have to ask the person that is inviting you to his house. You don't have to ask him why. I mean, you should ask why if you want to, because I assure you, if you ask why, even that person will not. You start the guy. So the guy asked the babe, "I come to my house now. I'm alone." And if you ask him why, I'm telling you, he starts to shiver. But if you're not going to even ask him why, ask yourself, so why am I going to this guy's house? Okay, I'm just going to what am I going to actually do though? Am I going to just go? Am I going that I'm hoping that we can be starting something? When you start to ask yourself why, you see that you actually start to take better decisions. Because a lot of the things that people do that have either dangerous consequences or zero consequences, like a waste of time, they happen because they don't ask themselves questions. So after this conversation, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to drive and watch football with a friend. But you see, I have TV at home and I have a generator. I can watch the football in my house. I have a big screen. I can watch the football in my house. Why am I going to watch this football with a friend? I'm going to watch this football with a friend because I want to have a very important conversation about a business deal. That's the why. That's the why. So the football is not the why. The football is an excuse. It's a more obvious excuse. The real thing is the conversation. So why? Ask yourself why. Okay, when I was applying for my last scholarship, they asked me, why are you choosing this school? Why London? And you have to answer. And your answer better make sense. Otherwise, somebody else is going to get that scholarship ahead of you. So I had to ask, these guys, they're very intentional. I had to say why I chose London. I had to say why I chose the school. I had to say why I chose the course. Then I had to say why the guys that were giving the scholarship had to give me the scholarship. So you have to define your why per time. You have to define your why per time. Oh, I'm going to visit my friends. Okay, well, that's good, but why? Your friends are constantly drinking, constantly smoking all sort of nonsense. You're constantly in their midst. You kind of feel that you're sane, that you're not like them. But why are you still in their midst? Is it that you want to change them or you want them to change you? These are the kind of whys you have to ask yourself. Why do you, and if you want to change them, were you the one that God sent to change them? Or should you rather be on your own path, using that energy to find your own path? And if you're trying to change them, how much time are you going to spend trying to convince them to take a different path? So if you forget anything, do not forget why. Why? Come to my house. Why? JJ, anytime you come to Lagos. So no, I go to cities around the world and people send me a message that JJ would like to see. I'm like, why? And interestingly, they don't really have any answer. We just want to say, but we can see on video though. We can do virtual. Because also I go to meetings, conferences in Nigeria, and people are saying, I have this idea, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is my email. Send me an email. They don't send emails because they don't even know the why they were disturbing me in the first place. They just wanted to waste my time. So why is a big deal? So explore the why. Every other thing will fall in place. I think personally that why is like what Jesus said about the kingdom of God. Now, Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Every other thing then follows from that path. I think that if you ask why, clarity starts to fall in place. If you ask why, clarity starts to fall in place. Why am I going to London? Okay, this is why. Why did I choose this course? Okay, this is why. If you ask why, clarity starts to fall in place. Why am I removing my skirt? Why am I letting this guy remove my pants? Like, why? Okay, if this happens, am I ready for the pregnancy, whatever consequence comes with it? Oh, then if I'm going to do it, why am I not using a condom, right? Why am I not even conscious of the fact that this guy could have a disease? Oh, why am I not conscious of this guy could have a camera? When you start to ask why, automatically you even start to make better decisions, because you just realize that there are some foolish things you should not do, because the why will tell you it is foolish. When you ask why, you see the why, you see the answer of the why, you just say it's foolish. You take a retreat.
I love that. I love that. Once you begin to ask why, you can see whether your decisions are foolish or not. I mean, like somebody already said before, once the why is known, I mean, the what is very clear. Right, thank you so much. I just want people to take a screenshot and make sure you follow Mr. JJ Omojuwa on Instagram. It's Omojuwa, and on Twitter also is Omojuwa. Take a screenshot, tell him what you have learned. Do a screenshot, post on our stories, post on Twitter, and tell him what you have learned. And then it's just we're rounding up now. It's just taking the final questions, and I just want him to tell us what is the last word. Drop his last word with us. And I know a couple of people have asked the question of what is his top 3 books or books, because he says he like reading. So I'll just like him to answer that question of his top books and also his last words. Can you hear me, sir?
Is it why am I chasing? Somebody said, why am I chasing you today? Is that the question?
No, not at all. I didn't see that question.
Okay, what question?
I didn't see that question. I just said that they should make sure they take a screenshot of us and post and follow you on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure that they share their learnings with us, right, on their stories. So the final question is, what are your top books that you like reading, and also what are your final thoughts as we wrap up right now, because we have to let you go. Thank you so much.
Is that for me to choose a specific book? But because I'm very interested in human behavior, I'm interested in how populations think. So I tend to pay attention to books on psychology, because I think that at the root of everything we do is why we do why we do what we do. Is at the root of all of that is behavior. Like, why is it that the government has built an express road and they built a barrier across the road so you're not able to cross, and they've also built a pedestrian bridge? Why is it that somebody still goes ahead to break that barrier? They refuse to use that pedestrian bridge. They break that barrier and they are running through the express, even though there's an increased danger of death. So I want to understand the why behind that behavior, and to see the kind of solutions we can put into making sure that such behaviors are rare in our society. Why is it that people in Abuja think that the traffic light is a suggestion? So I'm interested in books like that. I'm also interested in history, because I think that the beauty of history is that you learn about other people's mistakes and successes, and it helps you put in a position where. So one of the things I read today was that Jose Mourinho, so a particular journalist, he was close to Jose Mourinho, the former Chelsea coach, right? But he had revealed in his News of the World article that Mourinho, Ashley Cole, and other Chelsea officials and football agents were meeting in a secret hotel. And that was a major football rule they were breaking. And all of these guys ended up being fined. Chelsea got fined, Mourinho got fined, Ashley Cole got fined. Now, all the guys that were involved in the story, they kicked that journalist away. They stopped being cool with the guy. But Mourinho brought him closer, because he was like, this guy is a sharp guy. Let me make him an ally. So when you read things like that, you start to think, because what Mourinho did is not the intuitive thing to do. The intuitive thing to do when somebody does a thing like that is to kick them away. That would be the normal thing to do. But Mourinho did the counter-intuitive thing, because he realized that this is for somebody to have done something like this, to have gone out of his way to find out things like this. Let me make him an ally. And it turned out to be a very, very beautiful ally, in the future, as based on the things they went on to do. The point I'm making is, reading about history, reading about other people's stories, it gives you don't have to experience everything to learn from things. You can just learn from other people's experiences. I also read for entertainment. I read about the lives of the rich and the powerful, and the stupid things that they do, because for me it helps to not get sucked into the serious stuff. Sometimes it's just okay to just relax. But other than that, I think I'm also obsessed with just collecting books, and I have quite a number. Yeah.
Oh, you see that?
I also like to read about money, by the way.
Interesting. One of the words that you have said before now, you didn't say in this meeting, is that you cannot scale in obscurity, right? And I just wanted to drop that word there for anybody who's listening and who thinks that they can actually scale or being being unseen. I mean, you really cannot scale in obscurity.
Yeah, a lot of extraordinary things get done when you're not seen. Loads of stuff. Mm-hmm. The greatest guys that we see that come to become the boxing champions of the world, or the greatest footballers and the actors and all of these guys, they were not always in our view. You can't if they were always in our view, it might be very difficult. Of course, there were people like Lionel Messi that were, they were in the view of people that were paying attention to football, but they were not in the global view. A time came at the age of 18, 19 that they start to pop out. But before then, a lot of things were happening. So there's a lot that can get done, and a lot actually gets done in obscurity, because that's where you have all the focus. Because these days, every small thing you do, people are screaming and shouting. So it's even difficult for you to even read as much as you used to read and do the things that you used to do yourself. So there's a lot that gets done, definitely. I assure you, there's a lot you can do before you break out. And that's actually the time where you're supposed to take it, because after that time, your freedom sort of reduces, because with privilege, with fame, with power, with money, you get to lose some. You cannot say some things the way you used to say them. You cannot go to some places. You cannot even send a DM to a babe that you like, because maybe you become famous and they might munch it. Different pressure,
Interesting. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you took a screenshot. Tag us 20 Stripe on Instagram, on Twitter.
And let me just say that you cannot hear everything that you feel like you should have heard in a conversation like this. The most important thing is to work on at least something. Like you have to take some action from here. There has to be something that you do after this conference. I don't know how many days this conference has lasted. There has to be something that you do after this conference that is consequent on attending this conference, so that when next year comes, you can say that you took this step, and that step. You did this and did that and did this on account of having been at this meeting. So it's not enough, because my own generation and the generation after mine, they were more interested in attending these conferences to say, hey, this is my 5th conference, this is my 5th 20th conference, this is my 5th platform, this is my 7th ELC, this is my Kinikon. They were more interested in those conferences rather than like, okay, so then what have you done with it, the ones you attended, like beyond the certificates and beyond the I came, I saw, what did you do? What value did you create after that? So for me, I'm very, very big on action. Yeah, like action ultimately is what matters. So knowledge is power, but not really. What you do with it is power.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, sir. We're so grateful to have you. It's been an amazing session. You've given us an amazing 1 hour, 30 minutes of your time. I mean, we had said we're just going to be 1 hour, but you give us an hour, 30 minutes of your time, which we appreciate so much. We're grateful. Everyone in the comment section, just tell Mr. JJ Omojuwa how much you feel and how much you appreciate him, your learnings, your takeaways. Just tell him how much you feel. Keep dropping in the comment section. Drop an emoji. See, I'm seeing on YouTube, I'm seeing on Zoom here. Just drop an emoji. Tell him how much you appreciate him. So thank you so much, very much, sir.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
We wouldn't like to take any much of your time. Thank you so much, sir. We love you. We appreciate.
I follow you guys on Instagram now.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Yes, I'll be following the activities.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We love what you do. So we admire you a lot greatly.
Well done. Keep it up. It's such a beautiful platform. I think a lot of extraordinary things can happen when people of like minds, people that share the same values, and people that are committed about their self-development and national development and ultimately continental development come together. So I'm counting on you guys.
All right. Thank you so much. I mean, doing that thing that you said you did. So that thing of education and entertainment, 20 Stripe is a community of education and entertainment.
Yeah, because you cannot bring 20-year-olds together and it's just serious. I mean, people want to ball, they want to talk to girls. It is what it is. So you have to make you have to be, if it's not fun, then it's dead. There has to be fun in the midst of it. The best way to sell things, the most powerful things you want to sell, is to create some form around it. Like you kind of want to, like, for instance, if I go to an audience and I'm trying to speak to them, I make them laugh. They have to laugh. They must laugh, and they laugh. And you start to think I'm a comedian. I'm not a comedian. It's just that to make people actually trust you, to make people listen to you and make them understand you, you've got to make them relax. So I like that you're putting some form of entertainment and fun
We
in
have
the midst of the
hangouts,
learning.
multiple
Everything
hangouts
has to go
coming up
together.
soon in different states. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. I will have to let you go now so you can watch the ball. I'm Portugal, so I know you. I'm probably thinking you want Belgium to win, so I'm not sure. So whether you want Belgium to win or Portugal, but me, I want Portugal because of Ronaldo. I'm a Man U fan. I'm not sure I like Arsenal as much.
It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious why you want Portugal to win.
Yeah, and of course I have Bruno there. But no problem.
No, go to Lisbon and welcome them home tomorrow. Nice one, huh?
No. We're going to the next stage.
We'll see.
Next stage. All right, so have a great day.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone.
All right, sir. Have a great day. Bye, sir. All right, so we're still on here.
Cheers, Sean.
All right, sir.
Wow, what a conversation.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Sean, tell me, what do you think? What have you learned so far, Sean? Tell me.
Okay, so to just put it in some few words, I've learned that, I mean, you have to take the time out now to do the work, because at the end of the day, when you're in your 30s, it's the work you've done now that will matter, right? And he's just 35 and he has done all these things. So it's now, that's why we are coming together in this platform to do it now. And that's why we are in the VIP community. We are everywhere to make sure that we meet like minds like David, like Titi, like Tulu, everybody, and do it now. So when we take action now, it makes more impact in the future. Instead of waiting to the future and say, I wish. So we're no more doing I wish. Now we're doing now. So yeah, that's it for me now.
So Dami of Lagos, I see your comments. By the way, we couldn't take your question because we had to let him go. I mean, we had 1 hour of his time initially, but he gave us the grace of an extra 30 minutes. So we're grateful to that. That's why we couldn't take your question. And so just like you rightly said, Sean, it's been an amazing. I actually love the balance of education and entertainment. I mean, I love the fact that it was
fantastic one.
For me, it was super real. Like, he talked about the fact that yes, he used to hang out with girls, which is something that people don't talk about. They were like, oh, I was reading, I was doing this, I was like, you know, all that, trying to form like as if come on now. We said we 20 something. We sabi how you be now, right?
Sabi turn up.
We sabi turn up. And that's the stage. So you mentioned two things, right? You mentioned the VIP community. So if you're not in the VIP community, the VIP community is an exclusive premium community. You should be there. Like you rightly said.
Allah for who know the VIP community.
Allah for who know the VIP community, I beg. Right? It's a place where you connect with people, you learn, you get extra. Like you said, right? This is not enough. You need to take actions on the thing that you've learned, but you also have to be in a place where you keep learning and unlearning and relearning. Right? That's what the VIP community is there about. So if you have not joined, it's 20stripe.com/VIP community. Sean, kindly drop the link in the comment section. 20stripe.com/VIP community. Then, not to forget, we also have an hangout in multiple states, right? It's in 9 states. We have an hangout in Lagos, we have in Ekiti, we have in Abuja, we have in Port Harcourt, we have in Usman, are you there? We have hangouts in 9 states happening on different locations at different times. It's going to be fun. You know how we do it, right? I still got a screenshot from somebody saying to me today, "Oh, guy, you guys, I went for a party. I went for a party on Saturday and they flopped. I remember when I came for the 20 Tribe Beach hangout in December, it was amazing, it was fun. We did a movie hangout, we've had virtual hangouts before. So you guys, you want to make sure you turn up for the hangouts, but don't just turn up for the hangout alone. Make sure you come with a friend, right? So to do that, just make sure you send us a DM on Instagram or just check on any of our links on every platform or WhatsApp, or Instagram, or Facebook, or Twitter. We post all of this information in there to make sure that you are part of this hangout. It's going to be fun. It's going to be mad fun. People connect, people network. Trust me, you don't want to miss this for any reason. You don't want to miss this for any reason. So please, guys, any questions, any suggestions? We're just doing this. So if you've got a question, you've got a suggestion, guys, just drop it here. We'll be going. To people who are on YouTube, amazing people. I've seen over about 70, 80 people on YouTube since. Esther, I see you. I see Temi Tokwe. I see Victory. I see Joy. I see Linda. I see Peter. Even here on Zoom, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Guys, what? Just tell me what. I'm getting messages from people to say thank you so much. Itofa, I see your message right now. Even on Twitter, I see your messages, guys. Omomula, I see your message.
Yeah, thank you
Oluwatosin, I see
guys.
your message. Thank you. You guys are
Yeah, David, I
doing
just want
well.
to say something about
All right, go on.
JJ's podcast. So JJ has a podcast called
Yeah,
the
he has an
CSS
amazing
Podcast.
podcast.
I mean, I watched like some days ago the interview I had with Bisola, the Big Brother Niger girl. You need to just listen to that podcast. I mean, it was you see how she came from from the beginning. I mean, she didn't even go to uni. She didn't do all of those things that we in our 20s even did, and now she's right at the top. I mean, she's very energetic and she's just keeping it going. I mean, he also interviewed people like P Prime, one of the biggest producers, is just 19. So I mean, just jump on the podcast, just check this Instagram, the CSS pod, you see it there. I mean, and you have to download the app. I think it's the Podroom Podcast. Once you download that app, then you can also listen to the Culture Saints and Sinners podcast. I mean, it's one of the best podcasts you be able to you listen to because that's where JJ asks questions, right, to different thought leaders and
Our
different
trends.
influential people. Yeah.
Interesting. I like what Dami Obligo just said. 24 minus 4, our 20. You know that 44 minus 4, our 40. That's Malias Lawali. I mean, it's just, guys, it's been fun. To just imagine that there are still people on YouTube right now. There are still people here on Zoom, still here, still sticking. It's just all amazing. It's fun. I mean, we finished the Millennial Summit, now we're having a mentors meet. The next mentors meet is coming soon. Guys, make sure you're part of all the events. Sign up for the VIP community. Engage with us. Also, we forgot to say this. Make sure you go on the Instagram page of Mr. JJ Omojuwa. That's instagram.com/JJ Omojuwa, right? And go and put a comment in there and tell him how much you appreciate the session, what you learned from him. Let him know that you actually love all that you said and you gained something. And like he said, also, the best way to let him know that you learned something from today is that in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, you meet him somewhere. You guys are on your way to Dubai, maybe in the business class. Or you guys probably, somewhere on the airport or somewhere in Maldives, you guys are chilling. I'm like, oh, Mr. Omojuwa, I met you. I mean, I listened to you some days ago from 20's Tribe and some years ago on Mentors Meet, and you blew my mind. This, you said that. And that way, you are appreciating him in actual reality for the things that he has said. That's the best way. It's actually by taking actions on the things that you have said, right? So, any questions, guys? We're going to be logging off YouTube right now. So we just have like almost like a bonding session here within Zoom. So questions, I'll be unmuting everybody on Zoom, but we'll be unmuting. So everyone on YouTube, you can join us on Zoom because the numbers are reduced on Zoom now. So you can join us on Zoom and we can just have like an interaction for us to connect together in here. So, all right. So let me stop the Zoom, the YouTube recording. It will take a moment to just
Yeah, so
stop
if
that.
anybody has any question on the VIP
You can
community,
just
any
join
question
us in
you
here
think you
on
can
Zoom.
answer,
Just join us
just
on
let us
Zoom. Go
know.
on Telegram or go on our YouTube, or go on our Instagram stories. You'll get the Zoom link in there so that you can join us on Zoom and we can just have an interaction, an hangout, virtual hangout, talk, meet each other, introduce ourselves for the next couple of minutes, 6 p.m. Till 6 p.m. because we have another meeting, but by 6 p.m. then we'll wrap up very quickly. All right, guys.